before the roars of stadiums, before the blinding lights, before the world knew his name, there was a small island in the Atlantic called Madeira. There, in a modest home perched on the hills, a boy kicked a ball made of rags across uneven ground. His name was Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro, a name that would one day echo across every continent. But in those early days, there was no glory, no spotlight, only a dream. He was the youngest of 4 children, born into a family that knew struggle far better than comfort. His father worked at a local football club as a kit man. His mother cooked and cleaned to make ends meet. Life was not easy, but in that simplicity, something powerful was being forged. Hunger from the moment Cristiano could walk. Football wasn't just a game, it was an escape. He played until sunset, until his legs ached, until the streetlights flickered on. There was no backup plan, no what if this doesn't work. Football was everything. Even as a child, his obsession was extreme, the kind that made others laugh, but made him unstoppable. When other kids rested, he trained. When they went home, he stayed behind, kicking the ball against the wall again and again until the sound became a rhythm, the rhythm of purpose. His teachers at school remember him as restless. He cared little for books or lessons. His heart lived on the pitch. He once cried after his teammates missed passes, not out of arrogance, but out of a burning desire to win, even at 10 years old. That emotion wasn't weakness, it was passion, pure and unfiltered. His parents saw it too. His mother, Maria Dolores, used to say, he eats football, he sleeps football, he lives football. And she was right. The game was his heartbeat. And Madeira, though small, could not contain it. When he was 12, something changed. A scout noticed him during a local tournament. His speed, his power, his obsession all stood out. He was told there was a chance to go to Lisbon to join Sporting CP, one of Portugal's top clubs. It was the kind of opportunity that could change everything, but also tear a family apart. He was still a child. Moving to Lisbon meant leaving his parents, his island, everything familiar. He'd never been that far from home. But Cristiano didn't hesitate. He knew greatness demands sacrifice. His mother cried as he left. His father stayed silent, proud but pained. The boat that carried him away from Madeira wasn't just crossing an ocean, it was crossing the line between childhood and destiny. Lisbon was brutal. He was bullied for his accent, mocked for his clothes, homesick and alone. But every insult became fuel. Every night he cried into his pillow, then woke up earlier the next morning to train harder. He had one goal: to become the best. The coaches quickly realized they weren't dealing with a normal player. His intensity was frightening. He would stay behind after training for hours, running drills until dark. He wasn't just talented, he was relentless. He didn't want to be good, he wanted to be untouchable. But fate tested him early. At 15, he was diagnosed with a racing heart, a condition that could have ended his career before it began. For a boy whose identity was football, it was like the world stopped. His dream hung by a thread. But the surgery was successful. And within days, he was back on the field. That's who he was, as unbreakable, even in the face of fear. By 17, Sporting CP promoted him to the first team. He was fast, unpredictable, electric. Every touch screamed of something special, a storm forming in front of everyone's eyes. It wasn't about fame or fortune then. It was about proving to himself and to everyone who doubted him that the kid from Madeira could rise above it all. Then came the game that would change his life forever. A friendly against Manchester United. Ronaldo was dazzling. His stepovers, His speed, his audacity, it left defenders frozen. The United players were stunned. On the flight home, they begged Sir Alex Ferguson to sign him. Days later, the call came. Manchester United wanted Cristiano Ronaldo. At 18 years old, the boy from Madeira was about to enter the biggest stage in football. But he didn't arrive as a superstar. He arrived as a teenager with skinny legs and impossible dreams. Yet behind those eyes was a fire that no one could ignore. When he walked into Old Trafford for the first time, he wasn't intimidated, he was inspired. He saw the banners, the fans, the weight of history, and he wanted to carve his own name into it. Cristiano Ronaldo had left behind his family, his island, and his childhood. But what he carried with him, hunger, discipline, faith, would soon make him unstoppable. This was the beginning of a new chapter. The boy had become a man, and the world had no idea what was coming. When Cristiano Ronaldo stepped onto the pitch at Old Trafford for the first time in 2003, something electric happened. The stadium, steeped in decades of history, had seen legends come and go, but this was different. He wasn't a finished product. He was raw lightning waiting to strike. At just 18, he carried himself like a man who'd already glimpsed his destiny. His confidence was almost unsettling. The crowd could feel it, even his teammates could sense it. That hunger, that burning obsession wasn't arrogance, it was of inevitability. But England was not going to be kind. The Premier League was physical, ruthless, unforgiving. Fancy tricks and stopovers didn't impress hardened defenders who'd spent years breaking ankles and bones alike. Every time Ronaldo touched the ball, the tackles came flying in. They wanted to test him, humiliate him, break him. He didn't flinch. He got up every single time, brushed the dirt off, and came back harder. Because Cristiano Ronaldo didn't fear pain, he weaponized it. Sir Alex Ferguson, the legendary manager, saw something few others did. He didn't just see a winger, he saw a warrior in progress. Ferguson once said, he was the most talented player I ever coached, but also the most dedicated. He trained like it was his last day on earth, or Ronaldo was obsessed. He was the first to arrive and the last to leave. When others went home, he stayed behind, practicing free kicks, perfecting dribbles, studying his mistakes. He turned his body into a machine, every muscle sculpted for performance. He didn't drink, didn't party, didn't waste a second. He wanted to become the best, and he knew what it would cost. And he knew what it would cost. His teammates used to laugh when he trained alone in the gym after matches. Years later, they admitted they had been watching greatness take shape. Right in front of them. At first, too flashy, too arrogant, too Portuguese. But criticism only sharpened his focus. He started adding substance to his style, fewer stopovers, more goals, less flair, more precision. He was evolving, learning that real power doesn't need to shout, it performs. Then came 2006. Ronaldo faced one of the hardest moments of his early career during the World Cup. After an infamous clash where his Manchester United teammate Wayne Rooney was sent off, Ronaldo became the villain in England overnight. The press attacked him, fans booed him. Stadiums rained hatred upon him every time he touched the ball. Most players would have folded under that weight. Ronaldo didn't. He turned the hate into fuel. When he returned to Manchester United, he wasn't broken, he was reborn. From 2006 to 2009, he became unstoppable. The goals poured in, headers, volleys, free kicks that defied physics. He wasn't just winning matches, he was rewriting what was possible for a winger. In 2008, he won his first Ballon d'Or, the award for the best player in the world. It was the moment the world finally understood This wasn't just talent, this was obsession perfected. He had conquered England, but deep inside, the hunger didn't fade, it grew louder. He wanted more. He wanted to test himself against the best on the grandest stage. And there was only one place left to go, Real Madrid. When the transfer finally happened in 2009, it shattered records. Though 94 million, the most expensive signing in football history at that time. Some called it madness. But Ronaldo knew exactly what he was walking into. Madrid was not a club, it was a galaxy filled with stars, legends, expectations heavier than trophies. It was where players either became immortal or disappeared. When he was unveiled at the Santiago Bernabeu, 80,000 fans packed the stadium just to see him walk out in white. 80. And as flashes lit up the night sky, Cristiano stood there, calm, composed, ready. He wasn't intimidated by the weight of history. He was ready to add his own chapter. In that moment, he didn't just join Real Madrid, he became part of football mythology. But behind the cameras, the pressure was suffocating. He knew every miss, every loss, every imperfection would be magnified. But Ronaldo didn't fear expectation, he craved it. Because pressure didn't break him, it revealed him, and soon the world would see what discipline, obsession, and willpower could build. From Corpus, the boy from Madeira had become a global symbol of ambition. But in Madrid, he was about to become something greater, a living monument to work ethic, self-belief, and human potential. Because greatness doesn't happen by accident. It's built one goal, one heartbreak, one sacrifice at a time. And Cristiano Ronaldo was only just getting started. Madrid was more than a transfer, it was a transformation. When Cristiano Ronaldo signed for Real Madrid in 2009, he wasn't just joining another club, he was entering a world where only perfection was accepted. Every fan expected miracles, every match was a test, every moment was a measurement of greatness. This was the home of Di Stefano, Zidane, and Raul, legends who defined eras. But Cristiano didn't come to live in their shadow, he came to build his own. From the first day of training, teammates saw something different in him. His standards were brutal. He demanded excellence not only from himself, but from everyone around him. When others jogged, he sprinted. When others celebrated, he analyzed what could be improved. It wasn't arrogance, it was purpose. In Madrid, he wasn't content with applause. He wanted dominance. He wanted to redefine what a player could be, not just for the club. And so began the era of Ronaldo vs Messi, the rivalry that would divide generations, ignite debates, and elevate football to an art form where Messi floated with effortless genius, Ronaldo roared with engineered precision. One was magic, the other was machinery, two different worlds locked in eternal competition. But for Ronaldo, the rivalry wasn't about hatred, it was about evolution. Messi forced him to go further, to dig deeper, to never settle. Ronaldo did the same for Messi. They became twin forces of destiny, driving each other toward immortality. Every weekend, the world stopped to watch them, and Ronaldo, wearing the all-white of Real Madrid, became unstoppable. Goals came from everywhere, right foot, left foot, headers, free kicks. He broke records faster than they could be written down. In his first season, he scored 33 goals, then 40, then 60, then 69. It wasn't human, it was obsession turned into performance. But numbers tell only half the story. What defined Ronaldo's Madrid years was not just how much he scored, but when he scored. When the team needed a hero, answered. When others cracked under pressure, he thrived. Champions League nights became his stage. Under the lights, with millions watching, Ronaldo became something different, colder, calmer, lethal. Every goal was a statement. Every celebration a reminder, I am here, I am inevitable. His teammates called him relentless. His opponents called him terrifying. The fans called him El Comandante, the commander. And yet for all his power and glory, Ronaldo's journey in Madrid wasn't always smooth. He faced criticism from the media, from rivals, sometimes even from his own fans. They called him selfish, egotistical, too focused on personal glory. He didn't respond with words. He responded with work. He learned that greatness will always be misunderstood by those who fear it. That leadership isn't about being liked. It's about being respected. Behind the flash and fame was a man who lived like a monk, no alcohol, no distractions, a life of repetition and ritual. His body was his temple, his mind his weapon. He trained harder at 30 than most players do at 20, while others aged. Proof that discipline beats time. In 2014, after years of heartbreak and near misses, he finally led Real Madrid to the club's 10th European title, La Decima. When the final whistle blew, he fell to his knees. Tears mixing with sweat. It wasn't just victory, it was validation. Every sacrifice, every criticism, every lonely night of extra training had brought him here. From that moment on, Ronaldo became synonymous with the Champions League. He didn't just play in it, he owned it. Final after final, season after season, he delivered, and the records kept falling. All-time leading scorer for Real Madrid, time leading scorer in the Champions League, a first player to score 100 international goals, countless hat tricks, countless moments that defied belief. But behind every goal was a philosophy, one that transcended football. That success isn't magic, it's math. That belief without effort is a fantasy, and that talent without discipline dies young. People saw his celebrations, the roar, the defiant posture, the chest thumping toward the sky. Some called it ego. It was release, years of struggle compressed into a single sound of triumph. And yet, even at his peak, he knew how fragile greatness could be. Every season brought a new challenge, a new rumor, a new reason for people to doubt him. But he had learned long ago that you cannot control what people say, only how you respond. And his response was always the same: win. By the time he left Real Madrid in 2018, he had become more than a footballer. He was a symbol of what it means to refuse limits. He was proof that ordinary beginnings don't define you. Relentless effort does. As he stood on the balcony of the Bernabeu after his final match, waving goodbye to the club that had made him a legend, the fans chanted his name, not because he was perfect, but because he never stopped striving to be. The boy from Madeira had conquered the White Empire, but his story wasn't finished, because for Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest battle was never with others, it was always with himself. When Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid in 2018, the world was stunned. Why would a man at the top of the mountain walk away? He had everything, the trophies, the records. This is why not in adoration, but for Ronaldo, comfort is the enemy of greatness. He never stayed where things were easy, where the challenge was hardest. So when he chose Juventus, people doubted him. They said, Serie A is too defensive. They said, he's past his prime. They said, his best years are behind him. But Ronaldo heard it all and smiled, because he thrives on doubt, is fuel for the obsessed. And Cristiano Ronaldo has always been obsessed, not with fame, not with validation, but with the pursuit of becoming more. When he arrived in Turin, the Juventus dressing room fell silent. Not out of fear, but out of respect. His presence changed the atmosphere. Training sessions became sharper. Standards rose overnight. Every player, from veterans to rookies, felt the shift. Ronaldo's intensity was contagious. He didn't talk about winning, he demonstrated it. First on the field, last to leave. First in the gym, last to quit. He trained like he was still 20 because in his mind, he wasn't aging, he was upgrading. That mindset is what separates champions from legends. Champions play to win. Legends play to prove something that no one else believes possible. In Italy, Ronaldo didn't just face defenders, he faced time itself, and he beat it. He became Juventus's top scorer in every season he played. He shattered records in one of Europe's toughest leagues. He scored over 100 goals in just 3 seasons, faster than any player in Juventus history. He adapted his style too. Gone was the flashy winger from Manchester. Gone was the relentless sprinter of Madrid. In Turin, Ronaldo became something colder, smarter, a sniper. Every movement was calculated. Every finish was surgical. He didn't waste energy, he weaponized it. This was the evolution of a predator. He learned how to play within the limits of his body, but never the limits of his will. And when critics called him selfish, because he knew the truth that the world calls you selfish when you stop seeking approval. But even in Juventus, not everything was triumph. They failed to win the Champions League. They lost matches they should have dominated. The media attacked him again. They said, Ronaldo can't do it without Madrid. But if history teaches us anything, it's that greatness isn't measured in moments of applause, it's revealed in moments of silence. And Ronaldo, as always, while others posted excuses, he posted results. When others celebrated early, he trained later. He didn't chase fame, fame chased him. Off the pitch, he became a global fitness icon, a billionaire athlete. But still, the hunger burned. Because for Ronaldo, enough doesn't exist. The Italian chapter proved something critical, that longevity isn't luck, it's engineering. He was 35, yet moved like 25. His body fat stayed under 7%. His recovery routines were legendary: cryotherapy, strict nutrition, precision rest. He turned science into an ally, and let's be honest, most players decline after 30. They lose focus, motivation, sharpness. He redefined what 30s could look like for an athlete. Juventus didn't just sign a player, they imported a mentality. He reminded Italian football that professionalism isn't a schedule, it's a lifestyle. He once said, if you don't believe you're the best, then you'll never reach the level where you can even compete with the best. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. Ronaldo doesn't think he's divine. He just refuses to limit himself to what others define as realistic. And when his time in Juventus came to an end, a fallen star, but perhaps proof that the flame still burned. Over 100 goals, multiple trophies, and an entire country reminded what commitment looks like. Then came the return no one expected, Manchester United, a full circle, a man returning not as the boy who dreamed, but as the legend who delivered. But that's a story for the next chapter, a story not of glory, but of truth. Because when the world changes, even legends must face reality. Time moves, empires shift, names fade, but certain legacies refuse to die. Cristiano Ronaldo's story was never meant to end with applause or headlines. It was meant to echo, to remind generations what obsession, discipline, and pure human will can create. When he returned to Manchester United, it felt like destiny folding back on itself. The boy who had arrived 2 decades earlier with wide eyes and raw hunger now stood as a global icon. But the football world had changed, and so had United. Still, That thunderbolt goal at Old Trafford sent chills down the spine of millions. It wasn't nostalgia, it was confirmation that after all the years, after all the pressure, all the evolution, Ronaldo was still a force of nature. But soon came turbulence, politics in the locker room, tactical shifts, media storms. The critics circled again like vultures. They said he was finished. They said his time had passed. Yet, in the middle of it all, he stood tall. The same fire, the same focus. He didn't beg for loyalty. He didn't chase validation. He just did what he's always done, face the storm head on. Because Cristiano Ronaldo has always been more than football. He is the study of mindset under fire. His career isn't defined by trophies, it's defined by endurance. By the refusal to conform. Even when he left Europe and joined Al Nassr, the noise was deafening. Retirement league, they mocked. But Ronaldo didn't move for comfort. He moved for purpose. He became a pioneer once again. He took the world's spotlight and shone it on a new stage, proving that leadership isn't where you stand, but how you stand. He brought global attention to the Middle East's football scene. He raised standards, visibility, ambition. Everywhere he goes, he alters the landscape because greatness, real greatness, is portable. And beyond the pitch, there's the man, the son who never forgot his roots, the father who protects his children's dreams, the athlete who built an empire from sacrifice and sleepless nights. He once said, "Talent without work is nothing." Those words are not a quote. They're his truth, his life, his creed. He wasn't born the strongest. He wasn't handed fame. He was forged by repetition, by a million quiet decisions no one ever saw, skipping parties, training through pain, outrunning fatigue, outlasting doubt. That's what defines Cristiano Ronaldo, not the goals, but the grit, not the spotlight, but the shadows he fought through to reach it. And now, as he stands in the twilight of his playing years, he doesn't slow down. He redefines longevity itself. He's still pushing, still scoring, still demanding more of himself than anyone else dares to, because his war was never with others. It was with mediocrity. Numbers, they speak like history carved in stone. 5 Ballon d'Ors, over 150 career goals. More international goals than any man in the history of the sport. Trophies from England, Spain, Italy, and Portugal. Records that may never be broken. But even those pale next to his influence. Every young player today, from academies in Africa to the streets of South America, carries a little piece of his mentality, the idea that no dream is too far if you work until it hurts and then keep going. That's what legacy means. It's not about being remembered, it's about being rebuilt in others. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just change football, he changed what human endurance looks like. He showed us that perfection isn't given, it's earned. That age is a number, pain is a teacher, and criticism is free energy if you learn to use it. He's not chasing farewell tours or sympathy tributes. He's too proud for that. His farewell will not be whispered. It will be witnessed through every record. Every generation he's inspired, every boy in every small town who looks at his story and says, if he did it, so can I. When history tells the tale of this era, it won't just say Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the greatest players. It will say Cristiano Ronaldo was the standard, because the truth is he never needed the world to believe in him. He just needed the ball, the goal, and the will to prove what belief can build. So when the final whistle blows, not on a match, but on a lifetime of pursuit, the echo that remains won't be of a superstar or a celebrity. It will be of a man who refused to stop a man who outran limits, a man who turned criticism into combustion, a man who turned his name into a verb, to Ronaldo, to work beyond all reason, to rise when you shouldn't, to demand from yourself what others think impossible. That is immortality. That is Cristiano Ronaldo.